Hello, everyone. I'm going to be talking to you today about some personal stuff, a miscarriage. So if that is triggering to you, I need to let you know that right off the bat. If you don't want to listen to this around other people, that's fine. I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up. I'd already started filming this a couple times and realized halfway through that I probably should have said this at the beginning. So, trigger warnings. This is going to be talking about faith shifting. It's going to have some miscarriage in it. I probably won't cry. Maybe I will. I don't know. We'll find out. It's going to talk about not having all the right answers or any of the answers, and reimagining Easter when everything seems bleak and awful and weird. So, with that introduction, if you're still with me, hello. Hello, friends. I know this is probably not the Easter season that you had anticipated. Maybe when you were doing your annual plans, you have traditions around Easter. Maybe there was a communal egg hunt or church service or family dinner. Maybe you'd anticipated getting really cute Easter baskets or Easter dresses, and none of that is happening. Maybe you're going through a time where you're not sure about income coming in, or people being sick, and you're looking all around, and this time where we're supposed to be looking at spring and new birth and resurrection and changing for the positive, and all you see is more negative. I am uniquely positioned to talk about how to redeem something so bad. Okay. I grew up in a tradition, like more fundamental Christian, where you had kind of all the answers laid out a little bit. We had the whole big Easter service, Easter dresses, baskets. There was always a sermon talking about coming back to life and new birth and forgiveness from horrible sins, etc., etc. I always didn't feel worthy of that, and so that was hard, because I am a lover of people. It is probably my most central tenet of my faith. I don't think it will ever change no matter how I think of God. I believe we should love all people in all circumstances, and that everybody is worthy of grace, even though oftentimes I don't think I've owned that for myself. I still believe that. And so it's always been kind of a back and forth pull, trying to figure out how to handle a religion where not everybody is saved and worthy, I guess. I don't believe that anymore. It's changed quite a bit. I probably started changing in college, as a lot of us do. One of the church that I started going to did what's called a love feast, and I still go to that kind of denomination. It's a different church now, but where we do a foot washing service and a communal meal and communion together. We do it twice a year, and it's one of my favorite things, because foot washing for me symbolizes being humble in our service and willing to accept service as well. And I think those are two things that are really important for humans to do, to serve other people and accept service back to us. Different times in life, one's easier than the other, and that goes back and forth. So that's probably when my thoughts around Easter started changing. Just viewing it as a time of contemplation. I've started doing some Lent things around that time. I gave up ice cream. I gave up bubble baths one year, which was really hard. Hated that year. Might have been as hard as my ice cream year, honestly. And so Easter became a time where I started thinking about how I wanted to go about with my spiritual life, where I wanted to add life and love to other people and to my own life, where I wanted to find God, how I saw God, and it started to change. I had kids. that got really complicated because then they ask all these questions that you don't know anything about anymore when you've changed your opinions on things. And I started to view the kids more as teachers themselves, trying to teach me and bring their own ideas and questions and insights and visions to me. And that was pretty beautiful. And then 6 years ago on Easter weekend, I had a miscarriage. It was a baby that we had waited for a long time. It's never been easy for me to get pregnant, ever. And that miscarriage on Easter weekend, of all times, where you're supposed to have like new birth, a new life, a new hope, was awful. And I've talked about it more recently. I always talk about it more around Easter time just because I know a lot of people don't talk about their miscarriages and don't talk about the hard things in life. And I don't think that does anybody a service. I realized after I had my miscarriage, so many of my friends that had one and didn't say a word about it, which then made me sad because I feel like they went through the storm on their own. I can't even imagine. So I won't go into the details too much, but I started bleeding a little bit on Good Friday and then realized something was a little amiss. I'd had some, if you've been pregnant before, some bleeding's normal. So we just made a phone call with our doctor and said, hey, we'd like to come in. Something's kind of weird, more than usual. But by Easter morning, which I normally run the Easter breakfast at church for a youth fundraiser, I was really not feeling well. I had a lot more bleeding. I was very pale. I vaguely remember a couple of my youth just coming over and giving me a hug, like, what's going on? And I was like, I think I'm miscarrying the baby and not sure what's going on. And one of my friends who is a doctor, I was in the bathroom and I told me to go get Nikki. And she came up and just looked at me and said, it's not your fault. So I knew that was pretty certain at that point. She's a good doctor. And she just held me for a while, like my friends did. Meanwhile, the church service was starting. And we had our kids and they're all dressed up. And I'm still even in an Easter dress. And I went downstairs to the youth room, which is actually underneath the pulpit. And I just laid on the couch because I was so uncomfortable and just cried and cursed God over and over and cried some more. And every once in a while, one of my friends would come check on me. My doctor friend went and got me a little stuffed bunny and some chocolate and painkillers and just sat with me for a little bit. I gave my husband a Post-it note list of the women he needed to go get after church to come down and be with me. So I wasn't alone. I kept going back and forth between the couch and the bathroom. And things got real in the church basement as I'm listening to the Easter service above me, crying my eyes out and being in so much pain and feeling angry, so angry. Anyway, this is getting longer than I expected, but hopefully you're okay. And I remember after the service, my girlfriend's coming down and just being with me, and our pastor walked in, and he's a male, and he had said, I feel like I'm walking in the red tent, and is this okay for me to even be in here right now? And I was like, yeah, it's fine. And he just sat with all of us women as we just laughed and cried and laughed and held what women do, We're the creators of the world. I love us. Anyway, so ever since then, Easter for our family has been a constant struggle of trying to redeem that holiday and make it better, make it feel not so awful. I don't even remember what date that Easter was, but for me, the miscarriage was always Easter weekend, even though Easter moves. We have a normal dinner with some friends that we have Venezuelan arepas, because my friend grew up in Venezuela and that's their Easter tradition. So we've always done that. The last, I don't know how long, do an Easter egg hunt with the kids. But over that weekend, my husband and I always just feel like we try and make it better and then it just doesn't. Last year we moved into this house. It rained the whole weekend, but it was still beautiful to see all of our friends kind of come together and try and do something positive on Easter weekend. So I guess I'm telling you all this to say, I don't know what this Easter is going to bring. I don't know what it's going to be like, but I'm guessing it won't be your normal for any of us. So I had a couple of ideas of things to do to try and help redeem the Easter weekend for you, whether it's Christian or secular or any other tradition. I'm hoping you take this weekend where we all kind of talk about new life and spring coming, and you look for different ways to imagine it. So first up, if you didn't get a chance to get to the store and get a whole bunch of stuff for the Easter basket, find some things around the house and put them in anyway, whether it's a board game you already have or make some cookies. My favorite thing that I do every Christmas is a letter for everybody in their stocking. Make a letter for somebody of the top things you love about them or memories you have with them. Maybe make a coupon book for you get to pick the movie or hold the remote the whole day. I don't know. Come up with something that is homemade to stick in that Easter basket, and make sure one of it is a little note saying how important that person is to you. Next thing up, look for new life, nature hunt. Jack Muir Laws actually has really great nature journaling stuff available for free online right now. He has a new book coming out called How to Teach Nature Journaling and Nature Drawing, and I think it's coming out in April or May because they moved up the date. But he has the free PDF available online. One of our favorite things to do from his last book was to go around, draw something in the yard, and then with like little notations and things, and see if anybody can find that particular thing. You can do that at a state park. A lot of the state parks are still open. Obviously keep your distance, but there's plenty of ways to go look for new life there. In our yard, we have so many bulbs coming up different places. Next up, poetry tea time. We've talked about this in the Brave Writer curriculum we use normally for homeschool. Talks about reading poetry together and having a snack. Poetry right now, because my attention span is so small, I cannot read novels right now at all. But poems I can get through, especially if I'm reading them out loud with the kids. Poetry is a great way to take something that's hard and ugly and find some beauty in it. And it's a nice way to kind of introduce April is National Poetry Month. So whether it's finding, Maya Angelou or Rupi Kaur is another one I really love. Mary Oliver. So many really great poems right now to find. Robert Frost. Emily Dickinson. I can keep going. But poetry tea time is a great way to have an Easter special thing. Look for new leaders. If you are in a place where your faith doesn't fit you anymore, it's okay to look for a new leader. One of my favorite things, and I'll talk about it in an upcoming video, is this book, Holy Troublemakers and Unconventional Saints by Deneen Ackers. I was actually a Kickstarter sponsor for this, and she is kind of like the Rebel Girls, where they have like a really beautiful illustration and then a little bio of the person. There are all people represented in here, different races, ethnicities, genders, sexualities. These people in here, I cried when I got this book. I'm so excited to get this book. And she's actually doing some read aloud YouTube videos, stories. I think she has Florence Nightingale and Mr. Rogers out, and I will link to her channel below. But look for new leaders, and that's okay. They don't have to be St. Augustine and maybe some Martin Luther. They don't have to be the people that you grew up looking up to. There's so many amazing people. Glennon Doyle, Nadia Bowles-Weber, Rachel Held Evans, Reverend Will Gaffney. So many amazing faith leaders right now who can inspire new vision in your faith, that you don't have to stick with the old vision anymore. I would also recommend doing maybe a foot washing or service ceremony with your family. some of my favorite foot washing things were just between me and my kids when I was having a hard time. It helps me remember that I'm here to serve them just as we're here to serve each other. I am not above them. I'm not below them either, but I think those are good reminders to kind of reinfuse. And I think most people can get down with some sort of service aspect, regardless of what their faith is. Recreate some bought tradition. If you normally get chocolate Reese's peanut butter cup eggs, find a tutorial online and see if you can do something different. Use it as a creative challenge. If you didn't get to the store, you don't have plastic eggs, make paper eggs and write little things on them, whether they're jokes or riddles or, hold the remote. Why do I want to hold the remote? I don't know, just pick what's for dinner, get an extra snack. There's lots of things you can do if you didn't get a chance to get the traditional things you normally get. And make it a virtual Easter egg hunt, whether it's different things at your house and then send pictures to see if somebody can find them in that picture. Our friends that we normally have our Easter egg hunt and dinner with, they're going to tell us, the parents, the kids are going to tell us where to hide eggs for our kids, a couple of special eggs, and then our kids will tell their parents where to hide a couple of special eggs with a little bit extra for their kids. So we can still kind of do it together even though we're apart. So those are my ideas for redeeming a truly weird Easter. It's not going to be normal. It might not ever feel normal again, but that's okay. It'll be a different normal, and it'll be a different thing, and we can find just as much beauty in it. So hopefully you're okay. If this triggered a lot for you, or you need to talk about things in the comments or messages, I'm here for you. I know I laid a lot on at the beginning, so hopefully you'll be okay. So I will talk to you later. Bye.